Welcome back to a part 2 in our gelato series. Today, I'm going to show you how to make chocolate gelato along with some salted caramel gelato. These are two of my favorite flavors, so I hope that you enjoy them as much as I do. If you're new to the whole making gelato journey at home, be sure to check out my first video. I give you a little bit more background about gelato versus ice cream and why we use the ingredients we do. While this recipe is accessible to home cooks, there are some specialty ingredients that you'll need to probably purchase along with have an ice cream maker. Don't worry if you have any questions along the way, you can drop them in the comments below, but I will try to share as much information as possible as to how to make this Italian gelato, especially all of the insider tips that I learned from going to culinary school in Italy. As always, the recipe will be linked below, so I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe for more Italian-inspired recipes and check out my ebooks and products below if you're interested in learning more. First up, we're going to make salted caramel gelato. Before you begin, there's some prep work you need to do. Fill a large bowl to use as an ice bath for later. Next, we'll whisk skim milk powder with our stabilizers using both guar gum and locust bean gum. These stabilizers are super important when making gelato because they help give it a thickness and the correct texture, so don't be tempted to skip these. Next, we are going to make the caramel, so add sugar and water to a heavy bottom saucepan, just something that's not going to easily burn your caramel. Next, cover this with a lid and let it boil over medium heat until the sugar is completely melted. From here, remove the lid and continue cooking until the sugar begins to darken. You don't want to stir the sugar at this point. If it appears to be burning, you can gently swirl it in a pan, but if you move it too much, it will start to crystallize. Once the sugar reaches an amber-colored liquid, you'll want to stir in the heavy cream. Be careful, it will bubble and splatter slightly. Next, we're going to add in our butter, and you just want to do this 1 cube at a time and allow it to fully mix. If you notice your caramel is darkening too quickly, you can remove it from the heat while you're finishing up the caramel and then add it back on for the next step. Next, we're going to add in our milk. We're using 2% milk, and you just want to whisk the mixture as you're adding it in. Up next, we're going to whisk in the skim milk powder mixture. Now you have to sort of add this in slowly, otherwise it can clump up. So just take your time and whisk fairly vigorously along the way. Once you get all of this added, we're going to continue to cook the gelato base over medium heat while stirring often to ensure nothing burns until it reaches 195 degrees Fahrenheit or 90 degrees Celsius on an instant read thermometer. Next, strain the gelato with a fine mesh strainer. This will just catch any little bits that are still clumpy to make sure your gelato is nice and smooth. Allow the gelato base to chill until it has stopped steaming and then cover it with plastic wrap and place it in the refrigerator overnight or for 24 hours. This will not only allow the gelato base to fully cool, but it will also give the flavors time to marry together. When you're ready to churn, it's time to add in the sea salt. I highly recommend this part. It gives it a great salty flavor and I think you're gonna love it. Next, pour the gelato base into a machine and process for about 20 to 25 minutes or according to your manufacturer's directions. Once it's done churning, the gelato will still be on the somewhat soft side and that's totally okay. At this point, you are going to transfer the churned gelato into a storage container. You'll need to place the gelato into the freezer for a few more hours to cure or harden up. To serve, swipe the frozen gelato with a paddle and then smash the air out and serve it either in a bowl or in a cone and enjoy. Next up, we are making some chocolate gelato. This is another classic flavor. You'll also want to do the prep work that I showed you in the first gelato, and then you'll whisk dextrose, which is a different type of sugar, along with guar gum and locust bean gum in a small mixing bowl. Next, you're going to melt your chocolate morsels in a heat-safe bowl. I like to use about 60% cacao for this recipe. You'll want to heat it in a microwave on 50% power for 30-second increments until it's nice and liquidy. Then set that aside and we need to start cooking our milk in a saucepan over medium heat until it reaches 105 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 degrees Celsius on an instant read thermometer. Once that's up to temperature, whisk in the melted chocolate along with your granulated sugar and your skim milk powder. Throughout this process, take time to fully whisk everything in so it nicely combines. As a reminder, with the skim milk powder, it does take a little bit of time to whisk in. Once all of those ingredients are combined and fully dissolved, next we'll whisk in that dextrose mixture. Continue cooking the gelato base over medium heat, stirring often to ensure nothing burns until it reaches 195 degrees Fahrenheit or 90 degrees Celsius on an instant read thermometer. Then once again, we are straining the gelato and making sure that that can chill fully over our ice bath. Once everything has stopped steaming, cover the gelato base with plastic wrap and allow it to rest in the refrigerator for 24 hours. You know the drill by this point. Once you're ready to churn, give everything a nice whisk. This just ensures you don't have any clumps in the gelato. And then transfer the gelato into your machine. I process mine for about 20 to 25 minutes, but your machine may be slightly different. You're looking for an almost soft serve consistency, but it won't be fully hardened by the time it comes out of the machine. After that, you'll need to place it into your storage container and allow the gelato to harden up for a couple of hours in the freezer. This chocolate gelato is super decadent and it has a very rich and great chocolate taste. So I hope that you love this recipe as much as I do. Remember that you can grab both of these recipes using the link in the description below. And don't forget to check out my whole gelato playlist if you want to continue learning how to make authentic Italian gelato.